Hello again, my friends, and those attending Modern Commerce Day for the first time. A very warm welcome from commercetools and all of our wonderful speakers. So earlier in the day, I mentioned that we tried to really mix up our speaker lineup with companies of all sizes, channels, and footprints. And we also want to hear from companies who are selling online only. So I'm very happy to introduce this next panel. The speakers here are going to tackle the topic of agility and adaptability in their businesses. Especially in today's economic climate, the ability to adapt is really critical to long-term success. The panel today brings together Mr. Andrei Rebrov, co-founder and chief technology officer of Scentbird, a fragrance subscription service. Joining Mr. Rebrov is my friend, Mr. Alex Shiferman, CTO of New Jersey-based Nuts.com, a company that really surged during the dark days of our COVID lockdowns. And based on my latest flights, it looks like you have some partnership with Delta Airlines. So thank you for that on those long flights. Moderating our panel today is Mr. Piyush Patel, Chief Strategic Business Development Officer of proprietary search and recommendation software company Algolia. Gentlemen, we are really looking forward to hearing your insights. Welcome to you all. Mr. Patel, I will pass the microphone over to you. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Margaret. And Andrei and Alex, thank you for joining us for this session. To all the guests out there, again, thank you for choosing our session here. Our focus is really going to be about the journey of both of these brands into agility and adaptability and kind of the factors that drove them there and how they got there. So I'll go ahead and kick off. If you guys have, Andrei and Alex, a further introduction you'd like to make of your organization, happy to give you a couple of seconds for that. Alex, why don't you go first?
Sure. So again, Alex Shiferman, super excited to be here. We've been a long-term partner of commercetools, a customer of commercetools, so I'm super excited to speak, about composable and MACH architecture, commercetools in particular, and how we've kind of been able to scale our business and grow our company through the madness that was COVID and through the upcoming challenges with recession and everything else. So happy to be here.
Sounds good. Thank you, Alex. Andrei?
Also excited to be here. Just to repeat, my name is Andrei, CTO and co-founder at Scentbird, and been in the company since the beginning, and was doing MACH approach before it became a thing, because Scentbird is a fully homegrown solution created with microservice, serverless, and other approaches.
Excellent. Again, thank you, gentlemen. So let's start off with the first question. What were the factors that challenged the business that led you to, the decisions that you made? So what were some of the business impacts or KPIs that both of you were asked to address, as you began looking at agility and adaptability for your business? Andrei, do you want to go first?
Sure. Thank you. So when we started Scentbird in 2014, honestly, we didn't yet know what we are going to build. Because we were a startup that had one idea about making it less risky to buy perfume online, but how exactly to do so was a big question. Original idea was try before you buy. It didn't work. We tried the couple of other ideas, and then eventually pivoted towards a current model, which is a subscription for perfume and colognes that allows customers to pick what they want every month. So somewhat like a Netflix for perfume, because we have a queue and you can edit anytime you want. And for us, agility was not question, should it be agile or not? It was an important part of our survival, because again, we didn't know what we were going to build. We didn't know where we're going to go. So ability to not just slightly adjust the direction, but completely change the direction, start looking for new horizons was critical part of our business. And that's why we embrace the approach of microservices, so we can easily plug in, plug out whatever we need, approach of composable architecture, because one day we didn't know that we want a referral program. Next day our marketing team wants it. So if we can plug in it easier, obviously it's a big win for the business. And that was and still is the philosophy behind the business.
Excellent. Alex, how about for your organization? What were some of the business factors and impacts or things that the organization was looking for you and your team to deliver on?
And our journey is actually very different from Andrei's company. The company's been in business since I think 1929. So it's obviously a very kind of long business. And we were one of the original e-commerce businesses essentially started late 90s. So we were on a mature e-commerce stack that was just old, right? It's 20 years of complexity, tech debt, rules, patches. So as you can imagine, over time it just becomes slower to move. So that's kind of one challenge you're dealing with. And the team's done an amazing job building this over the period of time. But as a business start to scale, and this is pre-COVID, right? We just try to figure out how to build our technology stack to help business scale. How to something to what Andrei mentioned. How do we ensure maximum flexibility? We do have a very stable core business, but there's a lot of other opportunities we want to pursue as a company. And so how do you enable that? How do you drive that? How do you sort of enable iteration on that, try and fail fast, move fast, if for example, move somewhere else, right? So those have been kind of core principles and what kind of led us into MACH. Well, there's no MACH back then, led us into headless. The other aspect that I heard another speaker mention today, sort of concept of a future proof. There's no such thing as future proof because you don't really know what the future is. 20 years ago, AI voice was just not a thing, or even phones were not mobile phones were not a thing, or smartphones were not a thing. So how do you build a stack that is not necessarily future proof but easily swappable, right? It's a bunch of components you can replace as needed. One thing I've learned kind of working with in e-commerce for the past 20 years is if you make a strong commitment to a single vendor or a single architecture, at some point your path will diverge. Your company will have one direction and vendor goes one direction, right? So it's just reality of life. There's other clients, to different companies, to different roadmaps. So how do you not just depend on a single provider, a single vendor to suddenly match your expectation, match your roadmap? So we felt like the composable MACH headless was the right kind of amount of flexibility while still giving us a stable core and things like checkout, card that just need to work and not really rocket science and easy to plug and play.
Makes sense. So I kind of heard, if I can recap, the agility necessary because of business changes, whether it's related to your own core business, the macroeconomic factors that all of us are facing now. Just your business needs to be able to make different decisions, and you don't want to be locked in by capability of a large platform. Second, scalability. As your business grows, you want the ability to move pieces around and into more scalable infrastructures and expand, whether it's geographic or just in size and scale. And then, Alex, I think the final point you were making is you don't want to be locked in, from a vendor roadmap perspective, and you want your own freedom and timeline of when you want to innovate. Yeah.
Right. And that, I guess the last point is we are an e-commerce business, but I don't look at us as a technology company, right? We're actually an e-commerce company. That's our core business. So, for us, things like not just headless, but SaaS is also critical, right? Because a vendor whose full-time job or partner whose full-time job is operating an e-commerce platform, hopefully will always do a better job than us who are an ultimate e-commerce company, right? So that's not to pay, and that's not to sort of say that we don't have great technologies, but I'd rather deploy them elsewhere than trying to build 24/7 NOC to manage all that.
Definitely. So I think you're starting to touch into the next topic. Really, is what were some of the factors that both of you had to consider and decide on in order to deliver on some of these needs of the business, right? Whether it's the agility for changing, referral model or not, the ability to scale, the ability to, innovate and all of those things. What were, some of the process and decisions you've made that got you to your ultimate solution. Alex, you want to continue since you were up last?
Sure. So I mean, obviously, commercetools has been a big partner. We also use Algolia. So we really focus on finding best of breed technology solutions, and the core under it all is just SLAs, right? So for us, I'm sure Andrei can attest, with e-commerce business online only. So if e-commerce doesn't work, there's no business happening, right? So it's very black and white. And so find just stable partner who can feel confident, putting essentially all our kind of cards on was pretty critical. So I think that's step one, just its stability, that expertise, track record of delivery, I think is critical no matter what partner you have. And then, then essentially the big other thing for us was trying to really understand, out of everything we do as technology team, what is our core unique secret sauce and what is a commodity, right? Like, they want to build another checkout, they want to build another card, they want to build a PIM. Maybe not, because it feels like commoditized these days. There's tons out there. But trying to understand, what is the right solution for you relative to the shelf, but also what is it, if you were going to invest your engineering talent, your business talent into something, what is that secret sauce? And then how do you have a platform that gives you a solid foundation, but also flexibility to kind of build that secret sauce into it, right? Because, so it's like, how do you combine all this kind of off-the-shelf products and your secret sauce and make it one cohesive customer experience?
Got
so
it.
That's really kind of my
Makes sense. So Andrei, how about you? I think, some of the common things that Alex mentioned would be making sure that the vendors are delivering or providing the core for you, but then, letting your team decide how you manifest that into the experience that you want to deliver. What were some of your decisions that led you down the path to where you are today?
Sure. So Alex actually touched a couple of interesting points. First, about being a technology company. Unlike, I guess, NAS.com and Amazon and other companies, we don't call ourselves a technology company. We call ourselves a technology-enabled company. And by that, I mean that we use, and I see my role as to find the best technology to give an unfair advantage to every person, every department in our organization. And that almost by definition means that most likely you won't be able to find one platform that can solve everything as a best-in-class solution. So we immediately transferred to the composable architecture, and then we are trying to understand, as also Alex said, what makes us, what makes Scentbird a really unique subscription fragrance company, what differentiates us from other beauty subscription companies, but what we can actually outsource to other providers, but only to those who solve the problem, who solve this better than anyone else, and who truly sees the world through merchant eyes. To companies who don't just deploy one feature after another, but people who truly talk to merchants, talk to their existing customers, talk to potential customers, understand their pains, and build maybe 10 times less feature, but they only build what is needed. And this is actually what we incorporate when we are looking for a partner. We identify, this is our real problem, not just a huge bundle around it, but this is the core problem that we are trying to solve. Then we go and talk around. We talk to different vendors. We talk to their existing clients. We see what these clients were able to achieve, how sophisticated they are, how uncommon, how often do they build something on top of it? Because again, this is in many cases also important. You don't want to be just like everybody else. In some cases, you want to have a little twist. And if your partner doesn't allow you to create this twist, maybe that's not the right partner. So this is how we've been operating for many years, and this is why we actually decided to go with commercetools, because they support everything that I just described.
Excellent. I think it probably resonates with many of the audience here today. So, Andrei, then
maybe one more point. Yeah. I think it's purely selfishly, right? As technologists who leads engineers, I think the other aspect that we sometimes forget about, you want to find a platform, a part that's going to be developer friendly, because you want your engineers to enjoy what they do, And I think there's a wide range of platforms out there that may or may not support business needs, but have various kind of scale of how easy it to work with from an engineering perspective. And if you want to retain your team and make them happy and make them excited to come to work every day, finding platforms that development friendly, I think, is also pretty critical. It's not often talked about, but I think it's pretty critical.
Excellent. So given that process you went through, given some of the things you've done and the decisions you've made, what are some of the outcomes that you can be proud of that you've delivered for your organization around that agility and the need for adaptability, and any aha moments that maybe you didn't expect going into it? Andrei, why don't we start with you this time?
That's a tough one. I would say usually the biggest moment I'm trying to achieve is that, and that actually resonates with what just Alex said, is ability to disconnect engineers from other team members when other team members are trying to solve their problem. So, for example, if marketing team can run a unique new marketing campaign just by themselves, or they can create a new landing page with a completely new offer just by themselves, that is the greatest moment of integration, because we actually see the value, and it's not just another line in the resume, or it's not just another project complete. We actually build the value. And I think this is the biggest moment of proud for myself, for the team, and it makes people happy around you. And I think that could be actually another KPI of the technologist in the organization, organization like ours. If your work make other people happy, if yes, then you're doing a great job. If not, probably you're doing something wrong.
Excellent. Yeah, very, very good point. I think it's the attracting of developers in a tough market. Is definitely their happipiness is a key factor. Alex, at your earlier comment, I'm going to give you a chance to answer this question too, but it sounds like you might have read the book. I forgot Twilio's founder wrote the Ask Your Developer. As one of the core things of, if you've got a business challenge, don't go to them with the way you want to solve it. Let them flex their muscle, and of course provide them with the technical tools that are composable, and let them solve that problem, and have that pride of workmanship as well.
Yeah, and I think ultimately, one thing I love about nods.com is that, we are ultimately one team, one company. So I feel like technology team has a good sense of what business needs. Not that every intricate detail, because obviously there's always, some specificities, but generally all marching towards the same goal, right? So if you let engineers make decisions, assume and understand where the business is going, they're very likely to make the right ones.
Yeah.
But in terms of aha moments, it's been a journey. So for us, it's been, we had three platform, right? So it's a little bit different from Andrei's world, which I'm very jealous. You have to kind of, we basically tried to replatform, kind of change the engine while the plane was in flight still. So instead of doing a big bang relaunch, they do incremental updates while COVID was going on, while everything was going on. So it was definitely an exercise in coordination, team management, stakeholder management, bringing everybody along for the ride. It can be. It's not like this type of implementation migration is not a technology effort. It's a company-wide investment, and you really want to make sure your partners across business are fully bought into it. And the other thing is, which again, kind of power of MACH, power of composable, but also kind of its challenge, right? I always tell everybody that, I love MACH, but it's right tool for the right job. It may not be the right fit for some folks, right? Yeah. There's an incredible, and I come from an older world where all the kind of monolithic e-commerce platform, but essentially most of the decisions are made for you. In a composable world, you have a ton of autonomy to make your own decisions about at a very granular level, right? And so that could be exciting, but it's also challenging because you can make a lot of right decisions, you can make a lot of wrong decisions, right? So that just type of with great power comes great responsibility. This is like a perfect example, right? Like you have a lot of control, but kind of if you do it right, it works great, and if you don't, you gotta learn from the mistakes.
Definitely. Hey, I see some questions coming in from the audience members. So if anybody has questions, please go ahead and submit them. Before I go to start the audience questions, I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Something I didn't ask you in advance, something you're not prepared for. Out of the outcomes, as I asked, the results of what you've done, what's the one stat you'd want people to leave away with? Maybe if they're trying to convince their organizations to go down this path, what's a stat you want to share that, you reduced the development time from X months to weeks, or improved conversion, whatever it might be? What's a stat that you're really proud of that people can use for justification in their organization if they're trying to make these decisions?
I can start and then give Alex a couple of more minutes. I would say one of the interesting outcome of that was we didn't have to hire additional headcount to manage our previous process that was manual, that was not optimized, because we switched to tools that solve the problem, like I already mentioned, like the best in class. So instead of having a person who spends the entire day in the admin creating new products, now we can just upload a CSV file, and then in a matter of minutes, 50 or 100 new products will be ready on the platform. Same for the merchandising team. Instead of chasing the brands, instead of looking into multiple data reports and understanding how to manage products on the platform, they now have one place where they go and manage it easily. And again, because of that, they were able to remove their request for headcount, and obviously that's money saving moment for the company.
Excellent. Alex, how about you?
So two things come to mind. We're a private company, so I can't give too many details, but just the fact that we, as a company, we're able to, and we are in, for those who don't know what modernize.com is, we're essentially, a snacking specialty groceries business, right? So we experienced incredible demand during COVID, and the fact that we were able to handle that scale, as you can imagine, people just flock to online businesses that sold food. And we've had, zero technology issues, right? We obviously, as you guys can imagine, people issues, safety issues, but no technology issues. I feel like, that kind of proofs in the pudding, right? When things just work and nobody complains about tech, that's the best experience. The other part of it actually happens to Andrei thing is we've actually also have been able to grow our technology team 3x essentially since we started transition to MACH, or actually after transition to MACH or composable, and we've had very little conflicts in terms of people stepping into the feed. So that type of scale, which you get kind of enabled by that type of architecture, is just pretty critical to us as a business because we're trying to grow fast, right? So I'll try to.
Awesome. So speaking of agility, there's actually two questions I see, and I'm gonna kind of merge them because they may be different for you guys. But when you look at what's next for you, there's a question about you're online only right now. Are you looking to expand into brick and mortar, right? So sort of the opposite journey of some of the brick and mortars who went online, and so that's sort of a change in business, Andrei, as you referred to before. But also, I'd even ask not just brick and mortar, but a lot of companies are looking at marketplaces and do I distribute my products through multiple outlets, or am I one of those outlets that I want to distribute multiple, manufacturers' products? How are you guys thinking about some of these, future shifts and what you've done with your platform and being able to accommodate for some of this? Andrei?
So the honest answer is I don't know, because every year, by the end of the year, we create a roadmap and we are 100% sure that this is exactly what we are going to build. I would say 30% of that will be thrown away, and 30% of new stuff will be added. So right now I don't know, but I would say in regards to brick and mortar, we might partner with other organizations to complement their existing experience. So, for example, right now we have a partnership with Saks, And right now it's digital only on our website, but I can see the future where we can work together and people come to the retail store and they will automatically subscribe to Scentbird for 3 months. But another destination that I find very interesting, and I believe that's because I'm was grown up on all the sci-fi books, is the metaverse and all the virtual reality. Like there are more and more companies looking into this direction with all the hype around NFT and stuff. But I would say in 15, 20 years, we'll be living in a world with virtual work desk ability to show in this virtual reality. And that will be a completely different experience. And I can't wait to see how it's going to look like.
Makes sense. Alex, are you guys looking at marketplaces and things like that, or brick and mortar?
Yes to all of the above. I mean, I think it's, I think we're trying to obviously grow a business. So I think everything is an opportunity. And, we look at kind of a few different things, right? How do we sort of extend our brand into different avenues, right? There's, gifting, B2B, et cetera. So within our kind of relatively similar space, right? Brick and mortar is certainly a conversation, right? Whether it's going to be, our own stores or, working with partners, retail partners, I think it's a conversation. Certainly, as you guys think about other channels, right? Voice, metaverse, right? So I think all of the things are in the conversation. In the marketplace, of course, I think, as I mentioned before, we do feel like we have a little bit of a secret sauce. At one point, we were in mom and pop shop, right? So we feel like we have a unique perspective on how to help other mom and pop shops to scale, and that could be our niche if you want to become a marketplace. So there's a few different sort of places we have the right to play, and we're still trying to decide. In terms of selling our things through marketplace, in a food world, it's always kind of complicated because we do want to own our brand, and we feel a little bit like when you start selling through third-party marketplaces, you lose a brand, and then almond becomes an almond, where we feel like our almond is twice as bad, as good as anybody else's, right? But yeah, again, I feel like the big thing is for us is no matter what we decide to do, we don't have technical limitation to do it, right? So it's really more about business case, investments making, but technology will support it.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Excellent. This was a very exciting panel.
Okay.
Thank you all.
I think we have a few more questions, but we're probably down to our last 30 seconds or so, Margaret. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're getting close to the end. If you want to maybe throw out one more short question, we can do that, and then we'll cut over to the next session.